Mets fans, we are back after almost 3 months of no bearded Mets banter. On today's episode, my special guest is Angel, big time Mets fan, big time Knicks fan, big time Giants fan. Guy's a New Yorker who now resides in Wisconsin, and he's going to be joining me for Bearded Mets banter. But before we get started, y'all, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Go ahead and do what that little dog down there is doing in the screen, and let's get ready to get started. Here comes Bearded Mets banter. We're back.
This is a Mets Willets Point bound 7 local train. The next and last stop is Mets Willets Point.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Appreciate your time. I know you're a really busy guy, and I know it's the holidays, and I really do. I can't say enough how much I appreciate your time and you coming on.
No, don't worry about it.
As we spoke before, give the Mets fans a quick rundown. You've been a fan since '88, and you've endured some tough times. And I know, like many other Mets fans, you were kind of young still to really remember the '86 team. But you was a part of that whole '88 movement that I felt like the '88 team was a little bit stronger in terms of like what they had out there. They should have won that series against the Dodgers. We know how that played out. 2006 was probably a heartbreaker for you, as well as 2015. I mean, for all Mets fans. Give me a rundown. How what was your emotions like? 06 and 15. How was you feeling about those seasons?
Man, 06 was worse to me because that team should have won it all. And just the way everything went down with Aaron Howman, all that, give it Yadier Molina, and you got, man, it was crazy. Wainwright, Beltran, man, that team was stacked. But you know what was the killer on that team was when Dwayne Sanchez got injured. People don't talk about that though.
That was in Florida, right?
Yeah, I think it was Florida. I know it was in a taxi cab, and freak injuries that happen to baseball players.
Yeah, Sanchez was a big part of that bullpen. He was the bridge to who was our closer? The lefty, Billy Wagner. Billy Wagner. He was the bridge to Wagner, and he was actually super effective. At one point, they had Roberto Hernandez doing that role for a bit, and it wasn't the same. I mean,
Roberto Hernandez, that year?
Yeah, I think it was that year, 06. They brought it. Or no, my bad, 05. That was 05. Roberto Hernandez was 05. And yeah, but like you said, man, Dwayne Sanchez going down to that freak injury in that taxi cab accident was kind of crazy. And then 2015, nobody really expected us to do what we did that season, especially how that first half played out. Remember, we had like John Mabry Jr. We had so many dudes come out the woodwork playing for the Mets that season. I mean, the rotation was in shambles. The lineup was terrible. And then they made that deal for Cespedes. Well, actually, there was a deal that they did before that when they brought in Juan Uribe and Kelly Johnson. That kind of tipped the boat a little bit in the right direction. And then they went out and made that big blockbuster deal in 2015 for Yoenis Cespedes, and the rest is history. How was he feeling about that team?
Well, that team, I remember it was all pitching. I mean, they was winning games. I mean, it was kind of similar to what we saw. I mean, to me, this year reminded me of it in a way when the pitching was dominating in first half of the season, and they wasn't hitting. Even with the names, they wasn't hitting. I mean, right. you couldn't buy a hit with runners in scoring position. That was like that was like the coronavirus for the Mets. When you got people on second and third base, it was over with. And but that was the similarity. But as far as like the team, they had better pitching, top to bottom, because the rotation, they was young and hungry. Yes. You had a young DeGrom, you had a young Harvey, you had then you had Maps come up, then you had a Syndergaard. I mean, that team was pretty good. I mean, even Familiar was dominating that point until the playoffs. That's
Right.
when he started to fall apart.
Yeah, he set the
Pretty
record
much.
that year, right?
Man, we're gonna have to Google this later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I know he did his thing, man.
He
Familiar
did.
did his thing. The bullpen was
Yeah,
pretty decent,
it
and then you
was.
had But as far as that, I mean, yeah, that team. What I wasn't as say let down as I was in '06 because, like you said, like you stated earlier, that team just came out of nowhere. It was
Right.
like, damn, we all of a sudden, once after the trade deadline, August hit, and then they just started. Wilmer Flores crying. Uh, thank God that trade didn't go down because
For
look,
real, man. That would have
yeah,
been
it would have been terrible.
a
And then
disaster.
what was crazy is now that I think back is like imagine if they had a healthy Wheeler on that staff.
Exactly. It would have been a different story for real. Because Wheeler was he was down with TJ that year, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
that's the year he went down. He went down with
mm,
Tommy John, and it was over with for that. But that team, like I said, it wasn't too much of a letdown. It was kind of like '06. Like after '06, I remember I was like, man, Manaya's gonna put this team together, blah blah blah.
yeah, so we thought.
And then what happened in 15 was you felt like it was a building block. They made the playoffs the following year, but then it was over with. You know what
Over.
I
That
mean?
was it. Then it was just like steps back. Then 17, like we were still kind of hype a little bit. Syndergaard goes down. We started having all these injuries piling up. And then guys just weren't performing it the way they were. And the Mets actually 2017, 2018, we weren't that good. 2019 came around, we make a couple of trades, we get some guys come in, and then towards the end of the season, we make a decent run. That was the year we picked up Marcus Stroman, if I'm not mistaken. Because I thought for some reason, when we were talking yesterday, I thought it was in 18, but it was 2019 that we got Stroman.
Yeah, they got him at pretty much to offset what they expected in Wheeler leaving, which was dumb.
Right. I mean,
they used to still have Wheeler. I imagine that three-headed monster right now.
That would be incredible, man. That would be incredible. But that was a sign of the Wilpons. The Wilpons weren't willing to spend money, at least for what they thought is their excuse for what they think wasn't right for the team, and essentially what it means is it wasn't right for their pockets because their pockets wasn't as deep as other Major League Baseball owners. Now, let's forward to 2020 and this COVID shortened season. We got to see a new Mets manager, Luis Rojas. He came in. A lot of people didn't like him. I was one of them. I wasn't a big supporter of his. And then early on, after they finished the way they did in 2020, I was willing to give him a shot because they only played 60 games in 2020. So I'm thinking to myself, let me give the guy a shot. And then the season opens up and it starts off bad already. We already have to wait a few days because of COVID and Washington. So we had to go to Philly now and start the season in Philly. And that kind of threw the team off to start the season. How do you feel about that? What do you think? Do you think that had anything to do with the slow start for the Bats, the way the season started for them?
For this year?
For this year, for 2021.
I think it threw the whole team off, to be honest with you. I mean, that right then and there, we should have known, like, damn, here we go. You know what I mean? But, people with the new team, everybody was energized with the new owner, with Cohen taking over, and then you had Lindor and everything that happened with that. It was like everybody was energized. But, from the beginning of the year when all that COVID shit, stuff, with all the COVID stuff, it just threw everything out of whack. And we as fans, because Mets fans are pretty much cynical by nature. You know what I mean? It's like we should have known. It's like, it ain't going to be pretty.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you on that statement, though.
So now, as the season progresses and we start seeing the Mets win games in ways that we weren't used to seeing them win these games. We were getting the breaks, like hit by a pitch with the bases loaded, winning like the weirdest way. The Mets were winning games they had no business winning early on in the season, and they they actually came out the gate pretty strong in comparison to the rest of the division that was struggling. Atlanta was playing horribly. Philadelphia was playing horribly. And we know the lowly Marlins. The Marlins, they weren't a great team considering they made the playoffs the season before, the COVID season, which was kind of strange. And then they actually played well in that playoff round. But we really didn't take advantage of the situation that was right in front of us. The division was for their taking, but they weren't performing in certain situations, namely with runners in scoring position. What do you think about that? What do you think is the catalyst for the Mets' failures, like that they couldn't hit with runners in scoring position?
Well, I mean, everybody got lulled to sleep in the beginning of the year when they won. What they win, like 8 in a row?
Something like that.
And then throughout the whole year, oh, well, we still in first place. We still in, man, it's May, bro. Like,
yes.
June. I mean, that first place stuff, it really don't matter. But it's like, I don't know, man. It's just like, it seems like these dudes was pressing and cats who used to hit fastballs all of a sudden were late on pitches. It was J.D. Davis. And then now it comes out that he was hurt.
He was battling the hand injury all year.
But man, J.D. Davis was a kid that was killing 96 down the middle. He was crushing it. And it was like, I don't know, man. I think they were just pressing big time because that's the only thing I could think of. Because I mean, it just doesn't explain how constantly was runners on second and third, no outs, 1 out. It was like nobody was getting moved over, striking out left and right. I mean, they had to be at the top of the game with strikeouts, especially with runners in scoring position. What they hit, like 230 with runners in scoring position?
238. They hit 238 in the season with runners in scoring. Can you imagine if that was at least like 20, 30 points higher?
They would have won 90 games.
They win 90 games.
Easy. Even with all the injuries, even with all everything that happened, all the crazy stuff that went down, all the theatrics on the side, the parties and all that, just – I guess they were trying to keep it light, which, that ain't going to fly now.
No.
But it's like you said, if they would have hit 20 points higher, I mean, imagine that.
Yeah, they would definitely.
Even 10. Yeah, I mean, even 10 points higher.
Yeah,
it gives them 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more wins. You never know.
Right. It gives them a few, especially some of those games that they lost by 1 or 2 runs that they could have won. There was so many situations, but just going back to what you were saying, with the problems with the hitting with runners in scoring position, they were pressing. It looked like that every time we got men in scoring position, it looked like that the guy that was up to bat was just trying to hit a home run. Everything was a muscled up swing. No one was really trying to play like small ball, so to speak. Hit the ball the other way. Do something to get the guy to come in and score some runs. They weren't doing any of that. It just seemed like Rojas fell in love with this idea that they were going to come around. And they never worked on any fundamentals as far as like moving guys over. You don't see that anymore in baseball. You don't see guys bunting over. You don't see suicide squeezes anymore. And I think that when you go away from those parts of the game and you rely on analytics, and this is how these things can backfire you. The number of strikeouts is high among Major League Baseball now at a rate that, we seeing guys strike out 100 times a year. Every team has somebody that's at least striking out 100 times a year. Now you look at these rosters, you got 2 or 3 guys striking out 100 times a year. And this is crazy. I've been watching some of these videos of hitting tutorials. Like somebody shared one on Twitter today. Some guy was like jerking the arm. Like they're coming up with all these new tactics on how to hit a baseball that they're complicating the art of baseball. It's, to hit a ball, it's not easy when it's coming at you and you have less than a second to react. But when you're at the capacity, and you teaching all this other stuff, it tends to throw the fundamentals out the window, because nobody's really playing fundamental baseball anymore. Everybody's playing by the analytics. Everybody's playing the numbers.
But you know what it is? Like, remember, and this goes back to, I could go back to when I was like 7, 8, 9 years old playing Little League. Everything, when you were taught as a kid and throughout high school, whatever, it was always maintain a level swing, right? Right. What I mean, that's how they always taught you back in the day, was like level swing, keep your elbow, whatever. But now everything is launch angles, like launch angles, trying to everything is ball in the air. That's just how the game is being taught now. Like it's numbers driven. Like I mean, everybody can't do that. I mean, you can't have let's say a Juan Lagares trying to hit swing for the fences. It's just not gonna happen.
That's not his game.
No, it's not. And that's what the majority, that's what I'm not saying that everybody's doing it, but the majority, what it seems like when you watch it, it just seems like that's what it is. Like everything's angles. And then you hear all these StatCast numbers and all this, and it's happening in all sports. It's not just baseball. It's not just baseball.
Yeah.
So, hello?
Yeah, I just lost your video.
Yeah, hold on.
You good.
All right. My bad. But yeah, man, it's just that's just how the game's being taught now. And I mean, it's gonna take one team to change it, one team to I think the one team that kind of sort of plays, old school still in a way is the Dodgers. And I mean, they're very analytically driven, but if you look up and down the lineup, they got a lot of contact hitters. And also the Cardinals. The Cardinals kind of play that way as well.
You see, you just mentioned two baseball franchises that have baseball people, not just analytics people, but they have good baseball people too. Those are two teams that draft and sign international free agents really well. These are teams that it's like they bring guys up and you're like, who? And then the guy's a stud. These like when they brought up like that Piscotty guy, these are guys that can hit the ball. Even what's his name? May he rest in peace. That his dad was a major league coach and his brother played for the Yankees.
I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, well, those guys, that family, they brought that guy up and he was effective for them. He was a power hitter. He passed away from cancer not too long ago. I forget his name. May he rest in peace anyway. But that's just the point that I was trying to say. The Cardinals and the Dodgers, they even a guy like Yasiel Puig 6-7 years ago. We didn't know who that dude was, and then we saw him flying all over the outfield. That game that he had at Citi Field was incredible when he made the catch and the throw, and then he hit a home run. I mean, I'd be happy if the Mets found people like that in the draft and in international free agency. But it seems like, I don't know, that they don't have the right people scouting. The scouting department.
Mets got a good scouting department, bro. I mean, that's one thing that they I know they do. I mean, as far as arms go, and if you look at Mets prospects for the longest time have been hyped, bro. I could go back to remember Fernando Martinez.
Bro, that guy was the biggest bust in international history.
Alex Ochoa.
Oh my goodness. Alex Ochoa is another one. We got him from the Orioles. He was in that trade.
Came from the Orioles. I mean, Paul Wilson, Bill Pulsifer. The best one out of that.
Yeah, the
injuries.
Injuries. Another guy, injuries. And the one international free agent that I hated to see the Mets part with was Melvin Mora. That was my guy. When they traded him for
the 300 hitter, bona fide.
Oh man, when they traded him for Mike Bordick, bro, I was so disappointed.
Yeah, he got on base. He hit for average. He had a little pop. Yeah, I remember Mora.
Mora was a good ball player.
He played all around the infield too.
All around the infield. And, the scouting department, I'm going to agree with you as far as the arms go, but position players, not so much. It hasn't really stacked up. Of course,
we'll see El Troll how he turns out, man.
I mean, El Troll is different. He's definitely cut from a different cloth. When you hear that bat hit the ball, that's a nice sound it makes.
You got Beatty. Beatty looks like he's gonna be a ball player. You got
Mauricio. With this fresh crop of prospects, I'm excited about. But when I mentioned about the superiority of the scouting departments of the St. Louis Cardinals and the Dodgers, is over a period of time.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? The Cardinals, if you want to be funky, the Cardinals are the Yankees of the National League. You know what I'm saying? No one's won more World Series in the National League than the Cardinals. So the Cardinals are a model of excellency. And I hate the Cardinals. And I hate to say that, but I got to give props where it's due. you know, and people are like, oh, I hate the Braves more than I hate any of the time. I'm sorry, the Cardinals are the first team that made me cry. You know what I'm saying? When Terry Pendleton hit that home run for Roger McDowell, you know, in 1987. So this is like, you know, we bleed orange and blue. The Mets have been through some things, and let's just jump now into the end of 2021 and where they stood in limbo. How did you feel? How did you feel when the Mets didn't have a GM, and then everyone that was in consideration was just dropping out supposedly? How did you feel during that time?
Well, you know, like we spoke in the past, it was a matter of getting permission or not. And the thing with everybody was on Theo's train, and even before he declined or whatever, we were talking about how, you know, the man, he wanted basically ownership stake. He wanted all the reins, and you still had Alderson in place, which probably was not going to be a problem being that he had a year left.
Right.
But he wanted more than probably what Cohen was willing to give him.
Gotcha.
That's why they had a conversation, and that's why but you know, they mutually decided, well, this ain't the right fit.
This is,
you know what I mean? So, you know, Cohen, you know how it is when you in control. It's like you want to try to maintain as much as possible.
Right.
You know, that's with anything. So with him, I didn't expect that. With Billy Beane, I didn't expect that. Being realistic, didn't care if he came. I mean, whatever. But with like I told you, one guy I wanted was that I truly was like a little let down, but at the same time understood the situation, was Stearns.
Right.
I think
he's under contract.
He came from the Mets, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Like, why did the Wilpons let him go to begin with? But whatever. That's neither here nor there.
But there's another exec that, you know, that wanted to work for the Mets as well. I don't know how to say his first name, but his last name is Bloom.
Chain
Bloom.
Yeah.
And the guy's doing.
They went with the car salesman, so I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So Chain Bloom, he's doing things right now wherever he's at right now. He's making it happen, but it's okay. We have our guy right now, Billy Epler.
Yep.
Billy Epler. You know, we know that he had a tough time over out there in Anaheim. Supposedly, the story is that he and Artie Moreno clashed. Do you think that he's going to be restricted in any way here in New York to make the deals that he feels necessary to improve the team?
Well, if you believe everything you hear, I would say no. I mean, until you hear otherwise, I say no. Because right now it seems like, you know, they're signing. He's getting the stamp of approval on a lot of things. Remember, Buck, he worked with Buck, and he also worked with Espala. So, yes. I mean, it's not like, I know the reports were that Scherzer wanted Buck, Cohen wanted Buck, this and that, but I'm pretty sure he had his say as well. I mean, at the end of the day, Cohen writes the checks, right?
That's right. His name is on those checks. That's absolutely correct.
You gotta sit there and, you know, you gotta get the owner's approval at the end of the day. But as far as like, does he have like free range? I believe so.
Okay. And now, how do you feel about that Black Friday that we had when we signed all those players?
Oh, that day was crazy. I mean, it was unexpected. First, you had, who was the first name? I think it was Escobar.
Escobar was the first one. And
then Canna dropped. And then after that, then you had Marte was just the icing on the cake.
Yeah, man.
It was like, I didn't expect that. To be honest with you, like I said, you hear chatter, you hear what people got to say. It's like, oh, the Mets gonna go after this. Like the most name you heard was Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant.
That's what we kept hearing.
Yeah, and then you hear that the Mets that they were having conversations about Marte, and then, you know, then they ended up signing him. So that day was just crazy. It was bananas. But the thing was that Escobar and Canna were actually signed that Wednesday. They agreed to the deal, and then, you know, it came out Friday.
And
then Marte dropped. So it turned out to be a good day.
It was a very good day for the Mets. I mean, they spent a lot of money that day. They made the team better. Do you think Starling Marte? Do you think he hits leadoff on this team?
No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't do it either.
Yeah, I leave Nimmo in the leadoff spot because Nimmo gets on base and he's patient. I mean, Marte has a decent on base percentage as well, but Nimmo's a dude that takes pitches. That you cannot undervalue that. Like, he's a fourth foul fielder. He's a fourth foul fielder. I know he gets underneath people's skin because a lot of people don't really value. But you can't look at it. Look at the good teams like the old Yankees. If you want to compare, like they led the league in pitches taken. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that gives the next batter opportunity to see what the repertoire is.
See more pitches. That's right.
You can't take that away from that man. I mean, I know the only problem is he gets hurt a lot. That's it.
Yeah, that's his health status.
And he's not a center fielder.
No, definitely not a center fielder.
His metrics were decent though. I give him that.
I mean, defensively this season in center field, it could have been his best year because we saw him make some good plays in the outfield this year. We also saw him make some plays that were like, oh my God, dude, the positioning there, you could have gotten hurt. Chill. Like, don't dive that close to the wall, But
he also had to compensate for his left fielder.
Yeah. That
the
too.
left fielder.
The left fielder, he had to cover twice the ground. You're absolutely right.
Dom Smith, you got JD Davis out there. I mean, that's always been a problem with the Mets is playing dudes out of position.
Always.
And I understand you're trying to get guys at bats and you are not moving Alonso off at first.
No.
So he also had to compensate ground for that. I mean, because he was good and right because Conforto was a good defensive right fielder. But you can't. I don't know. I like Nimmo. He grew on me.
He grew on me too. I could tell you. I could honestly tell you maybe 4 seasons ago I wasn't understanding like what his role on the Mets was gonna be, considering he was always hurt. He's always been hurt. He plays wonderful for 30, 40 games and then is out for 10, 15 games. And it's always been an issue with him. The talent was always there. He could always hit. He always got on base. Defensively, he's a little shaky, but I like a guy that hustles. I like a guy, when he takes a walk and runs to first, I like seeing things like that. It's kind of cheesy, but at the same time, it shows you that he's still playing the game the same way he played it when he was a little kid. And I respect that. I take a lot from that because it shows that he's willing to do whatever it takes for the team to win. And those are
I want to see him do a crazy ill bat flip one day though. They just mad ill, just like bam, toma. That's what I want to see.
And he don't do that. He don't floss.
That's all I ask for.
You know what? We gotta send that to. We gotta submit a special request. But now jumping on, we went from the GM to the new the new signees he got, and now to our new manager. I know that there was a final. There were 3 finalists: Quattraro, Espada, and Showalter, who's the manager now. I think you told me that you were inclined to wanting Espada on the Mets. Am I correct?
Well, for like initially it was Buck because Buck's the name, and I'm not mad at all that he's manager. I mean, I take him 100%. But the more I was reading on Espada, it was like, oh, this guy kind of intrigues me.
Right.
The fact of that, not to knock Buck's age, but this man was younger. But and it's like he's been growing under, like he basically he was calling everything on, mostly a lot of calls under Dusty. I mean, learn from he was under Hinch. Regardless of what, he's a good manager. He was on the same staff with Alex Cora. Alex Cora could have been manager of the Mets too.
Yes.
And then Hinch, Cora, and then Baker. I mean, the man had a pretty impressive resume as far as like being a coach coming up with the Yankees and then going elsewhere.
Right.
But I think they made the right move, though. I mean, judging from everything, it's like we've had 2 managers in the past that, first-time managers, regardless, with Callaway and then Louis Rojas. So, I mean, it's time. It's time that you need an actual manager, like somebody who can take direction and like a lot of that stuff that was going on with the Mets the last couple of years, I guarantee you it gets cleaned up. It will. It should.
It should. It should. What I think Showalter brings is a level of professionalism.
Yep.
Old school professionalism. Guys gotta act a certain way, carry themselves a certain way, which he's gonna hold a lot of people accountable, and I respect that because as much as Luis Rojas had the players' ears, I don't think they they may have respected him on a certain level, but on a baseball level, I don't think there was that attention to detail there. You know what I'm saying? That's what was missing. And the attention to detail is what could lead to those struggles that we mentioned early on with men in scoring position. So it's little things like that I think Buck Showalter will be a little more effective with. His hands-on, his approach. He's been around the game for many, many years, and he's seen them come and go, and he's seen this new generation of game take off. And I'm hoping that his bench is full of a little bit younger guys that can help him navigate this whole, because from what I understand, he's not really super versed on the analytical part of the game. So from what I
because I was also, the thing about Bucks, he's experienced success and he's experienced failure in New York. He hasn't won everything, but he knows, highs and lows of being a manager in New York.
Right.
And, back in the day, I mean, he wasn't constructing his lineups based on power and average. He was based, a lot of his lineups were actually based on base percentage. You know what I mean? So,
which is analytics. He's using analytics to construct his lineup.
He was doing that. He was riding that wave before the wave even got going.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's just like, regardless. I mean, the Mets have probably the most, if not definitely top 5 analytics departments in the majors now. So,
okay.
I mean, what they went from like 5 to 30 or something like that.
Something like that.
That's a lot of people, man, to be sitting there, crunching numbers.
Yeah, and with that, with the analytical aspect of the game, the way it's shifting, and the way the game is being played is completely different to how the game was played, let's say 30 years ago. What's the biggest challenge, in your opinion, for Buck Showalter as far as like navigating the landscape of the Mets right now?
So you got to break that stigma. That stigma the Mets got over their head. That the cultural, just the Mets have just been in shambles for years.
The LOL Mets.
Yeah, you get a cookie once in a while. You get a nice little season here. I mean, a nice little season there. But other than that, what have the Mets? The Mets always dominated the back pages for the wrong reasons. For the wrong reason. There's always something dumb happening. Always something just like, really, like, come on, man. So that right there, once he gets once he gets that under control as far as the clubhouse goes, even this year you had antics. So, and then all the other stuff that, I mean, no one really can control. I mean, you can't control the Jared Porter situation.
No.
Yeah, I mean, the Mets were the team getting most killed for the Mickey Callaway situation, but there's other people. There was other teams involved there.
Right.
I mean, Terry Francona gave him a stamp of approval. So, I mean,
right.
Are we going to sit here and hold Francona accountable? I mean, Callaway's a grown ass man. I mean, it is what it is. And then, little by little, all this stuff starts coming out. It's really out of their control. But being that they were Mets employees, it's easy to pick on the Mets.
And now it's something to write about.
Yep. And it's something right away. Oh, here we go again. So once Showalter gets that under control, I mean, what can you write about?
That's what's up. I like that. And also, too, if I could add to Showalter a little bit more, the man's been a little bit unlucky too. He had that 95, I was telling you yesterday, 94, the Yankees was rocking. And then 95, they was rocking too. And, they lost to Seattle in that wild card round. But then 96, they construct this team right after he's fired. And they go off and win 4 World Series in 5 years. And then the one World Series, or the two actually, because of what they won, 96, 98, 99, 2000.
And they won a lot.
They won a lot. They won a lot. And then in 2000, he goes to Arizona. They put together some monster teams. It didn't help him that the 99 Mets got it to him. Todd Pratt hit that winner. I think that was off Jason Grimsley. But he gets fired in 2000. Bob Brenly takes over in 2001. Then they win the World Series. So he's been on like the cusp of winning a World Series, and he's just come up short. And I hope coming here to New York to manage the Mets, hopefully, we could design something to help us and help him, hopefully we win a World Series with him at the helm. But for 2022, how do you see this playing out? You see the New York Mets as a playoff team?
I mean, that's the goal. I mean, you can't expect the World Series appearance off top.
No.
If it happens, it's golden. But that's the goal. The goal is just get in. Just get in. Anything could happen.
Make it to the dance.
The Mets seem to, take 2016 aside and the failures, but magic. They seem to have that magic sometimes in the playoffs. It's just they go on these little crazy runs.
Yeah.
I mean, I still remember the Andy Chavez catch. I said, bro, they're going. I was like, they're going to the World Series. Man. I was wild and I was amped, but it happened. But it's just get in. That's it. Just get in.
Get in.
Take it from there. I think the sooner this lockout ends, the better to fill these holes. Because a lot of teams, if this goes deep, a lot of teams gonna be scrambling come February.
Now,
training starting.
Now, were you mentioning the lockout just now? I was going to segue into that. Thank you for bringing that up. When you mentioned the lockout, when the lockout ends, are the Mets done, or are they still making moves?
No, they're not done. No, they're gonna make moves.
Another arm, maybe?
I think another couple of arms. I think you might see an arm. Might not be the sexiest names in the world, but you're gonna get arms. You're gonna get arms that's you're gonna get another starter. You're gonna probably get another arm or two in the bullpen, and probably most likely you're gonna get another bat because they need it.
Yeah,
the lineup is incomplete right now.
It is. There's one player missing, and when I say one player, it's not a particular player, but they are missing one player. They really are, and with them adding. I was about to say starting Castro. With them adding Marte, Escobar, and Canna, that provides a little bit of pop to the lineup. But we need a guy that. Do we have him already? Could it be J.D. Davis? Could it be Jeff McNeil? I mean, who is it? Dom Smith? Are any of these guys going to get traded? There's still a lot of stuff that needs to happen before the season actually starts. And as the lockout drags, as you said, a lot of teams are going to be scrambling. The Mets too, because there's still some pieces that we need to put together so we can have a full contending roster going forward.
Yeah, I don't think Davis, Smith, and McNeil, all three are going to be here. I think one, maybe two, possibly get traded. I mean, that's just looking at the roster and the way it's constructed right now. It's like, I mean, where are you really gonna play some? I mean, J.D. Davis ain't really got, unless it's a DH. And then what are we gonna do with Robinson Cano? What's that? To me, you know how I feel about that.
Yeah, you want that money off the books.
Yeah, I mean, that money the problem is that money will stay on the books, but I don't see, like, people are thinking, oh, he's still a good bat. And then how do we know? He's 39 coming off the juice. How do we know?
39 coming off juice, and he had an injury. Remember, he was having back issues in DR.
Already.
They already slowed him down. They told him to stop playing because he was having back issues in DR.
I think because he's on the roster, people are accepting the fact that he's going to be here because of the money that he's owed, and it's not easy to get rid of that money. But I mean, we got to be realistic here. Anything he gives you is a positive, but I mean, don't expect this man to hit not even 270,
Nah.
and nah, don't expect that. I mean, you're gonna get lucky with what you get from him.
Yeah, for sure. Now with Robinson Cano, what I wanted to ask you, because like I'm not too familiar, does he have 1 or 2 years left? Two. So this season and 23, 22 and 23.
Yep.
And nobody's gonna want to take that contract.
And that's 40 plus old.
$44 million. That's $44 million.
If somebody takes that contract, you're gonna get a contract that's even worse.
Yeah.
Coming back. Yeah. So I mean, you ain't unless I hope not for his sake as a man. I hope he don't get caught up again. But unless he gets caught up again, I mean,
then that gives
I don't wish that upon nobody, man. You don't want to see nobody just go through.
But if he's caught again, it's banishment, right?
It's over.
Banishment.
Yeah, he's done.
I mean, he played himself. He shot himself to a big contract. Because I mean, he's been caught twice already. No Hall of Fame for you. Those numbers are really padded. Those stats are padded, and it's sad because, if he gets caught again, he's done. Like you said, it's over. But at this point in his career, what does he care? He's super rich. He does whatever he wants. He already has. The way he comes into camp, it tells you. And I said, okay, get it. So, so to be perfectly honest with you, if he's here, if he's not here, I could care less. As long as he's not on that field every day and he's not playing every day, I don't mind him being a $22 million cheerleader, because he's the young Latino players look up to him. So he has their ear, you know what I'm saying? So in a sense, he's valuable in that sense. He even though, he does what he does with the steroids and everything, but I've never seen Robinson Cano as a troublemaker, as a guy that, that goes out and starts trouble with people, or it's just a sour dude. I've never heard that from him.
He just don't hustle.
He just don't hustle. He just don't care. He just don't care.
That's a whole lot.
He just don't care. But he's not really a dude that's gonna give you shit in the locker room or anything like that. So we'll see. We'll see what the season brings with him, and hopefully he's not here. But Ainge, do you have any social media where people can follow you?
Well, for the most part, Twitter. I mean, I got Facebook and all that, but I don't really be on there no more. So, I mean, just, once in a while, just pick family stuff. That I only do family on that.
Gotcha.
And then, but just Twitter, I just be on there, messing around, whatever. I don't take nothing serious. So y'all can go ahead, give me shit. I'll give it back.
You do. You give it too. You give it back good though.
I mean, it's funny games, man. Nothing serious.
Word. Yo, my guy, I appreciate you coming on, man. It means the world to me. You sticking with me. This was the third time's a charm. I told you I was gonna get it done today.
I don't believe you. You need more people. No.
But yeah, my guy, I appreciate you for coming on and talking some Mets baseball. I look forward to having you again. Like I told you yesterday, I want to have you on with a couple other more people. We can get a forum going, and that would be nice if we could all share opinions and get together. But my guy, thank you so much for taking the time out. Mets fans, that's my man Angel. Follow him on Twitter. Not on Facebook, because only family stuff on Facebook. Mets stuff is on Twitter. Go see him there. Big Giants fan. And as you see the Scully, big time Knicks fan as well, y'all. That's my man Angel G. You heard that.
Top to bottom, give rid of the whole Giants. I mean, the whole structure. But yeah, this is about the Mets, though. We keep our banner bitted. You know what I mean?
Always.
This is a Mets Willits Point bound 7 local train. The next and last stop is Mets Willits Point.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.